I'm back. Valorant has many hidden and broken game modes that are only accessible by developers. And even if you manage to get into those game modes, you usually wouldn't be able to play it against someone else. Usually. You see, back when Gecko got released, I was invited to playtest him early to have the opportunity to make early content about him. Now, every sane soul would immediately play Gecko and try all kind of weird things with him. But I am no sane soul. Instead, what interested me more than the new agent was this special version of Valorant that I was given. You see, when influencers get picked by Riot to be included in the early playtest, they get given a separate launcher in the Riot Games client. And spoilers, I managed to completely break the game. But first, a message from this sponsor: absolutely no one!
Kill yourself!
The reason why I'm making this video is to be an apology video. Not for not uploading for 3 months, but rather about the next video. The next video will be a beautiful 100% sponsored video that I'm forced to re-upload because I accidentally removed a video from a while back, which I was supposed to keep on my channel for 2 more years. I should have read the small letters first. So if you see that one appear, you know why. Anyway. The first thing I noticed was in the custom game screen, and that was that there was an additional map to play. No other map than the range. You might be thinking, wow, cool, the range is nothing new though. And you will be mistaken. This custom version of Valorant allows me to select the range as a map even if the game mode is competitive. So theoretically, I would be able to play a competitive game of Valorant on the range. But theoretically doesn't mean practically. Only one way to find out, and this is how it went. So this is looking really good. It does recognize that it's a standard game, and here we are. At first glance, it might not look like much, but what you're seeing right now is in fact a lot of much. We have a minimap, we have a scoreboard, we have a timer, and we have economy. This means that we are, in fact, in a standard game of Valorant. And because I enable cheats, I'm even able to fly around and stuff, which you for some odd reason aren't able to do when you hop into a range normally. The first thing I did is check out the bot practice. And even though it shows the score, it unfortunately didn't allow me to practice against the bots. Which makes sense if you think about it. When you enter the range normally, you basically start a range-specific game mode, which I will show you guys later what happens if you do that on, for example, another map. And that game mode has different rule sets applied to it, like being able to have working consoles and being able to spawn in and teleport the player, etc, etc. I presume the game checks before you load the map if you are actually in that specific game mode, which unfortunately we are not. This theory is further confirmed though by the lack of working teleporters, which meant I wasn't able to reach the second island. One thing I noticed while wondering why the teleporter didn't work is that the match timer was frozen. This was odd because I didn't do that myself. So I presume that the range map always starts with the map time frozen. But I managed to bypass that by enabling the timer to be frozen and then unfreezing it, causing the match to start. That unfortunately didn't fix the teleporter though. Now, before I tried to play an actual game of standard Valorant on the range with someone else, in this case Mr. Lowlander, who kindly offered to help me, make sure to subscribe to him, I got distracted by the game mode list, who suddenly had a lot more options than usual. Onboarding, practice in full capital letters, and the snowball fight game mode. We have seen the snowball event before during Christmas a long time ago, but practice and onboarding are something else. Before checking those out though, I wanted to see if we could load into the Christmas themed version of Icebox if we loaded into the normal map with the snowball game mode on. Sadly, it did not, but it did work as intended. It even spawned all the power-ups, which was a lot of fun. I ultimately got absolutely destroyed by Lowlander, but you know, I'll get revenge on him later. Kinda wish this game mode would have just been always available in the real version of Valorant though. Seems kinda weird to not have it just rotate every now and then. Naturally, the next question that would come to mind is, what if we went into the range in a snowball fight game mode? Time to get revenge on Mr. Lowlander. Surprisingly, it worked, and I spawned in on the second island instead of where I spawned before. For some reason though, the game didn't allow Lowlander to spawn in, even though he was allowed when we did the snowball fight on Icebox. This might have been once again a map-specific restriction of the range. And also, if you're wondering, I couldn't find any flying drones about to start the training. At this point, I had to know if I could 1v1 Lowlander on the range in a standard game mode. And I could, I don't know how, but it just worked. He spawned in, and so did I. But what the hell is this spawn? I spawned all the way at the end of the little obstacle course trail, and Lowlander spawned in the middle of a grass field. The timer I had to manually start once again, but once I did, we were in a real playable version of the range. And I, naturally, swiftly got my revenge on Lowlander and won the first ever round of the range. Perhaps in the entire history of the range. That's kinda weird. You know what else is weird? This. When I respawned for the second round, I spawned on top of this random brick. And Lowlander all the way in the bottom room. Of course I beat him again, but what confused me was what happened next. Again I spawned in around this clock tower, and again Lowlander spawned in the bottom room. This made me wonder if there are actually set team spawns on the range, which would be the attackers spawned at the bell tower and the defenders in the bot room. And while I was about to win another round, I noticed something weird. The spike. Of course, the thing that we have to plant, but where is it? For some reason the spike spawned all the way in the middle of nowhere. After an unfortunate accident and once again spawning at the bell tower, I tried to play Jet to pick it up and try to see where the bomb sites would be. Turns out, there are invisible kill barriers all around the map, which is weird. No other map has kill barriers around it aside from, well, the range. Which is true, by the way. If you try to dash and updraft your way out of the map in normal Valorant, you get stroked to death. But I know a way to work around this. Again, I have no clue how this works, must be some Riot coding spaghetti moment. But Yoru in his ultimate can't be killed by insta-kill barriers. So, after animating my way to the spike and not being able to pick it up because it was in my ult, I thought it was game over. But luck struck me once again, because the kill barriers apparently don't stretch this far out. So I managed to pick up the spike and fly all the way back. At this point, we were both absolutely flabbergasted and talking mad Dutch to each other. So next up, we wanted to find where the bomb sites would be, and after originally thinking that it would be in the bot room, it turned out not to be there. But by turning on my brain, I figured the only place where it possibly could be would be where you originally planned the spike, in the training spots on the second island. So going back into my ult to bypass the kill barriers and failing because apparently this island over here is just a big fake and the real second island is behind another fake, I managed to make my way over to the bomb site, and again unfortunately I couldn't do it. And neither could I at the other bomb site. Sad. Might as well look around to see what the outside of the second island looks like. Sadly, there are no hidden secrets or sick Easter eggs. Which I presume there would be, because if you look at this map, there's like a little place there. Anyway, before you ask, the little reset buttons on the parkour trial do not work. Again, must be a game mode specific rule set. Onboarding. I figured onboarding must mean the tutorial you get when you start the game on a fresh account, and turns out it is. And what also turned out to be is that it didn't work on other maps. We both spawned in on Ascent, but without anything basically. We were just stuck in a loop of absolute nothingness. But can we onboard together on the range? Well, yes, we both spawned in where you're supposed to spawn in, and it all seemed to work just fine. Funnily enough, we even had our own knife skin. But just like with everything else so far, it seems like it didn't work 100% fine. As Brimstone wasn't telling us what to do, and the drone target to shoot to get rid of this barrier didn't spawn in. That meant, unfortunately, a dead end for us. But wait a minute, if we can play the onboarding together, can we also play the training together? Yes! And of course, because we're both pro gamers, we absolutely demolished the hard bot spawn challenge thing. Don't comment about it. Sadly, we couldn't practice on any other map, as the same thing would happen as when you onboard onto them. Vast nothingness. But hey, look, it's those rooms that are upside down that I explained in my short. What a pleasant surprise and a nice segue. Unfortunately, it was time for Mr. Lowlander to grind out this next video. So he had to leave, do subscribe to him, and I ended up all on my own to test a couple final things. First, snowball fight on the range. It didn't work. This time there was even more nothingness than before. But what surprised me is that it did work on the newest map Lotus. Again, sounds like some Riot coding spaghetti moment. Anyway, that is all I found. I'll make another video soon, so do subscribe and bye bye.